So here's the thing. Cody and Jenna, full of life and ready for adventure, decided to tackle the vast Alaskan wilderness. Everyone thought they were a bit crazy, but they ignored all the warnings. 9 long months passed with no word from them. Friends and family hoped for a miracle, but most feared the worst. Then, out of nowhere, Ranger Tom radioed in with something that chilled us all to the bone. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Ranger Tom was settling into his usual routine, ready for another uneventful patrol. His years of navigating the dense Alaskan forest often led to predictable encounters with tourists. With his radio crackling softly, Tom set out on the familiar trail, the chill of anticipation in the air. Little did he know, this routine day would turn unusual in ways he couldn't quite imagine yet. As Tom ambled through the winding paths, his eyes fell on families and adventurers soaking in the rugged beauty. He recalled meeting Cody and Jenna a while back, their youthful energy and zest for exploration standing out in his memory. They had been just another pair of curious wanderers seeking solace in the wilderness, a familiarity that suddenly felt haunting. It was on this usual route that Tom spotted something out of place. Near an old, overgrown trail, he noticed the bright colors of scattered backpacks and tents. Shifting his backpack to their worn path, he moved closer. "Anyone missing bags or tents?" he inquired, his voice cutting through the evening air. Faces turned to him, some curious, some unfazed, but silence rippled in response. The mystery deepened with each unspoken answer. Miles away, Elise was in her kitchen, pacing back and forth. Framed photos of Cody and Jenna smiled back at her from the walls. The ache of their absence never dulled. With an old photo album on her lap, Elise laughed through tears. Memories of childhood antics with Cody warmed her heart. Then, one afternoon, her phone buzzed, startling Elise. Ranger Tom had called, his voice holding a cautious hope. "Elise, there's something you might want to hear," he said. Despite her skepticism, a flicker of hope dared to dance in her heart. After months of uncertainty, this single call seemed to crack open the heavy veil of helplessness that had cloaked her days. Tom's voice grew more solemn and steady over the line. There might be some new leads regarding Cody and Jenna's case. Elise's heart raced, each word a lifeline tugging her towards optimism. As Tom recounted his findings in the forest, Elise listened intently, her mind a whirlpool of fear and possibility. It was the first sign of movement in a long-stalled journey. Elise felt a mix of nerves and excitement as she agreed to meet Ranger Tom the next day. "I'll see you at the station," she promised, trying to keep her voice steady. Hanging up the phone, she wondered what Tom had discovered. The thought of finally getting answers filled her with energy. Her mind raced as she considered what might come next. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. The next morning, Elise arrived at the ranger station, rubbing her hands together to fight off the cold. Tom was already waiting outside, his breath visible in the crisp air. "Morning, Elise," he greeted her warmly. They exchanged small talk about the weather, trying to ease the tension. "So, you mentioned something about Cody and Jenna," Elise prompted, eager to know more about what he had to say. Elise smiled as she began sharing stories about Cody and Jenna with Tom. "They were always up for an adventure," she said, her eyes lighting up. She painted a picture of their boundless energy and love for exploring new trails. "Always looking for the next thrill," she added with a chuckle. Tom listened intently, nodding as he absorbed the details of their adventurous spirits. The stories were both heartwarming and bittersweet. Tom asked questions about Cody and Jenna, seeming genuinely interested. "What were they like?" he inquired, curious about their personalities. Elise shared how Cody was a planner, always jotting down routes in his journal, while Jenna approached things with a go-with-the-flow attitude. They balanced each other out, she laughed, remembering fond moments. Tom took notes, understanding their habits could offer clues about their chosen path in the wilderness. "Did they ever mention taking unusual trails?" Tom asked after a pause. Elise thought for a moment, recalling Cody mentioning lesser-known paths during their last conversation. "He loved the idea of less-traveled routes," she revealed. They chatted about potential spots Cody and Jenna might have explored, spurring Tom to consider the untrodden paths in this vast landscape. It was clear both of them were committed to uncovering the truth. Elise reached into her bag and handed Tom a list. "These are Cody's favorite hiking spots in Alaska," she explained. He wrote them all in his journal. Tom took the paper, grateful for the insight. "This could be a huge help," he said, scanning the list. Each location held memories, some shared with Jenna, and each represented a piece of the puzzle that could lead them closer to finding them. Back home, Elise sat at her kitchen table, staring at the list. Determined to retrace Cody and Jenna's steps, she began digging into their last known plans, hoping to find answers hidden within their adventurous past. She spread out maps across her living room floor, marking trails and potential routes they might have taken. One trail stood out. Remote and less traveled, it led to a secluded mountain. Excited by the possibility, she began preparing for the trip. She packed essentials and mentally braced herself for the journey ahead. As she walked, the towering trees and untouched Alaskan beauty surrounded her. It wasn't just a hike, it was a search fueled by love, memory, and hope. Elise pressed forward, alert for any sign of the missing pair. Now and then, she found small clues. A wrapper under a bush, a footprint by a muddy patch. Each time her heart skipped. Could it be theirs? As the day wore on, the sun began to dip, and the forest glowed in golden hues. Eventually, she found a peaceful spot beside a river. Setting up camp, she lit a small fire and made mental notes for tomorrow's search. Though physically tired, her resolve remained firm. Lying under the stars, Elise thought of Cody and Jenna. At sunrise, as she prepared breakfast, the radio buzzed. Ranger Tom's voice crackled through. "Morning, Elise. Good news. I've arranged for extra search teams." Her heart lifted. Reinforcements meant hope. She packed quickly, energized by the thought of more people helping. The trail ahead felt lighter, her pace quicker. The idea of Cody cheering her on, unseen but present, urged her forward. Upon reaching the rendezvous point, Elise found the search teams already at work. Their organized, calm energy reassured her. Gratitude filled her voice as she thanked the leaders. Together now, they stood a better chance. At the ranger station, muddy searchers returned with little to report. Then came a flicker of hope. A ranger casually mentioned seeing smoke from a distant ridge earlier that day. While he downplayed it, Elise was immediately alert. She pressed for details, and he pointed out the location on the map. It was hard to ignore, and Elise's instincts urged her to pursue it. Determined, she and Tom agreed to investigate the area at first light. At dawn, Elise joined Tom and the team, ready to head out. The group set off into the rugged terrain, moving with a mix of urgency and caution. As noon approached, they arrived at the ridge. In a small clearing, a smoldering pile of ashes confirmed someone had recently been there. It wasn't a casual fire. The team examined the area, energized by the unexpected find. Then, Tom spotted something partially buried, a few personal belongings. He called everyone over. Elise's heart raced as she approached the items. They looked familiar. Her breath caught. Could they finally be nearing the truth? The discovery brought both hope and fear in equal measure. Among the debris, Tom uncovered 2 backpacks, remarkably intact. Elise knelt beside them, her heart racing as she recognized Cody's handwriting. Though it confirmed their presence, it raised unsettling questions. Why would they leave their things behind? Inside one backpack, Tom found a journal, its pages frayed and many missing. Elise carefully turned through it, sensing this might be the breakthrough they needed. They spent the evening piecing together the torn pages. Most were vague, with mentions of sand dunes, odd names, and remote places. Tom and Elise tried to trace patterns, guessing meanings behind the cryptic phrases. Unfamiliar people and places hinted at a larger story, still veiled in mystery. News of the mystery began to spread. In nearby towns, people whispered about the missing hikers. Curiosity evolved into involvement. Volunteers joined the effort, eager to help unravel the truth. Elise noticed the growing support. "The more eyes, the better," Tom said, echoing the power of community. Then came whispered stories from locals, strange sightings, on the nights Cody and Jenna vanished. An old man mentioned odd figures in the woods. Another remembered shadowy movements in the forest at unusual hours. The stories were scattered, but each held a kernel of possibility. The deeper they looked, the more it seemed the story wasn't just about 2 missing hikers, but a broader mystery tied to the land, the people, and the secrets whispered through trees and time. Elise listened intently, the hermit's tale resonating like a piece of a larger puzzle. Tom, ever focused, tried to extract anything useful, hoping even the strangest accounts might spark a lead. They pressed on, meeting eccentric locals who shared tales of odd lights and shadowy figures in the woods. While not all were believable, these stories hinted at an undercurrent of secrecy running through the area. Late one evening, they reviewed the scattered notes again. The journal's fragmented pages, once chaotic, began to take shape. Scribbled phrases like suspicious meetings and cryptic codes now pointed toward something specific. Determined, Elise and Tom worked tirelessly to decode what remained. As urgency mounted, their focus sharpened. Every scribbled note carried weight. Finally, after relentless effort, they cracked it. The journal exposed a smuggling ring operating deep in the forest, masked by the remoteness of the trails. Elise sat in stunned silence as Tom confirmed it aloud. Their discovery was no longer theory, it was fact. The gravity of the situation hit hard. Cody and Jenna had likely stumbled into this secret world unknowingly. Their final entries hinted at growing suspicion and perhaps fear. Tom and Elise now held the key to unraveling it all. They wasted no time. Authorities were contacted, and soon a coordinated response was underway. The raid that followed was swift and tense. Hidden camps and contraband caches were uncovered, confirming everything the journal had suggested. Elise stood back, gripping the journal that had led them here. Relief and grief mingled. The mystery was solved, but the cost was heavy. Later, Elise returned to the riverbank. She placed a bouquet by the water, a quiet tribute to Cody and Jenna. "This is for you both," she whispered. The forest stood still, as if honoring the courage of those who had dared to uncover the truth. Though the pain of loss lingered, Elise felt peace, knowing their story would be told not as a tragedy, but as a legacy of bravery.